Aaron, what gave you, I know we've talked about habitual locker, but what gave you the belief at 4-8, 5 weeks ago, that you had a chance to be standing here tonight with a chance to make the playoffs next week?
I still believe in myself, and felt like it just takes one sometimes. It's strange, but when we were sitting at 3-6, and we looked at the next three, at the time, Tennessee was playing really well. Obviously, Cowboys playing well, and Philly was number one in the league. And I just felt like if we get one of those, we can win the last five. And 9-8 was going to get in. Didn't really go around saying that because you don't really want to say, hey, if we just get one of these next three, we can maybe make the playoffs. But in my head, that's what I was thinking. Felt like we were going to beat the Bears. Rams at home. Good matchup for us. Miami was a wild card, I thought, and then the last two at home, that would be winnable, even though Minnesota's obviously had a really good season. Just dome teams in the winter and just the way we've played over the years. In December and January, our record's pretty damn good with me starting. So now the things you don't count on, Keyshawn Nixon, knew he was talented, but maybe didn't see game breaker. Christian Watson, 3-6, he wasn't a big part of the offense. So that's what you don't account for, and you're happy when it happens.
So along those lines, you're 4-8, you've got a rib injury. I mean, things looked pretty bleak. I mean, how much faith did you actually have? I mean, can you honestly say what your faith level was at that time?
I had faith, much like 4-6, I think, in 16. Sometimes you got to fool yourself a little bit into believing a little bit more. But I definitely had faith. I was going to go down scrapping, for sure. But I do believe in the power of manifestation, and I do believe in momentum. I believe strongly in the force of the mind. And when you start to believe something strongly, that some miraculous things can happen.
All right, so after you lose the Philly, before you beat the Bears, we're at your locker, and I asked you about the wooden pyramid, and you said, even if maybe you don't wholeheartedly believe it in that specific moment, you can't ever let them know that. You always have to lean on that hope that things are going to get better. Did you not wholeheartedly believe at that point? And was it Christian, was it Keyshawn that made your faith a little bit stronger or a little more confidence to manifest it?
I think all that did, for sure. And then the end, love of the game. That's why we play this game, for incredible runs and moments and special things coming together. When it's all said and done, it's the moments and it's the way you made people feel that I think last. And when you can spark a little bit of hope, it's pretty special to be a part of that momentum. And, regardless of what happens last week, the fact that we came back from 4-8 and put ourselves in a position to make the playoffs is pretty special. Now I believe that a lot has happened in our favor. That's pretty obvious. Every game that needed to go our way just about went our way, including shout out to AVP and the Browns today, with a big win in Washington. I was definitely watching it in the back equipment room, cheering along the Browns, also following the Colts-Giants as well, which that one kind of went south pretty quick. But and then obviously checking in on the Saints-Eagles, because, when all things come together, didn't know how the Washington Cleveland was going to finish out, but now obviously Dallas has a lot to play for in the last week. The only team that really doesn't, I guess, would be the Giants, who are in and kind of locked in at the 6, I believe. So be interesting to see how it all shakes out, but I know not many people in that locker room, and definitely not many of you people, believed we'd be sitting here at 8-8 with control our own destiny going into week 18. Pretty special.
I'm sorry. Do style points matter? And I ask it because I look way back in 2010. You guys are kind of puttering along a little bit. Then you beat the crap out of the Giants here in the second to the last game. You stuck in the playoffs, and obviously the rest of it happened. So does beating the crap out of the Vikings today, does that matter any more than just beating the Vikings, however?
It depends on if we play them down the line. I think it all matters. Obviously, there's some scenarios in play. We got to win next week, and then our fate is tied to Niners and Cardinals, I believe, and Vikings are playing the Bears. But yeah, I think it all matters for sure. You know, we could see that team again. Obviously, wouldn't see them here in the cold, but it doesn't matter confidence-wise. Most of the losses that they've had have been by, you know, obviously more than a score because they haven't lost in one-score games, but it gives us a lot of confidence. This is probably the first game all season we played complementary football in all three phases. Or the way our defense played, forcing turnovers. Offensively, you know, not a huge game stat-wise, but we did a good job of holding on to the football and ran the ball pretty effectively. And then, you know, Keyshawn, what can you say? And Kabi, you know, Kabi had a double-digit return in the first quarter. Keyshawn, you know, was incredible. Obviously, we had a punt blocked, but we're becoming a more dangerous team. And, you know, we've all seen some of the commentary outside as we went from 4-8 to 5-8 to 6-8, and nobody's worried about the Packers and blah, 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 blah. Now what are you going to say?
Is this the team you thought it could be? I mean, this defense and maybe that complementary special teams, doing what you guys need to do on offense, is what you hoped it could be at some point?
Listen, we all love Rich, and he's been as big a part of this as anybody, I think. Just his leadership and the way he's gotten those guys playing. I think he deserves some credit for pushing to get certain guys on the squad, like our captain this week, Dallin, and like Keyshawn Nixon. So kudos to the personnel staff for bringing those guys in, but shout out to Rich for doing that. We all thought our special teams were going to be better, but not, maybe, you know, just hasn't been dangerous, I don't think, in a long time. But now we have more dangerous teams, which is pretty special. And then the defense, you know, I think this is the way they expected to play for much of the season. Hasn't been the way that they've played the entire time. But when you're playing ball in December and January, the most important thing when you're talking playoffs, and for a long time I'd be standing up here and we're already in and we're just playing for seeding, and you're talking about playing the right way and resting the last week or not playing, momentum, blah, blah, blah. You want to be playing the right way and you want to be healthy. And if you look at our squad outside of Rashawn Gary, you know, we're pretty healthy and we're playing the right way.
Are there things you can do to keep the momentum going this week, or is it basically just inertia?
That's a good word on the bingo card, Pete. I think there is a lot of inertia, but you got to restart. You know, it starts all over. Come Sunday, if they put us Sunday night, that'd be pretty special. We've played in a couple of those Sunday night games, I feel like, against the Lions over the years, definitely in 16 and maybe even in 12, possibly. I feel like that was a later game. We were playing for seeding. Might not have been the Sunday night game, but might have been 325. But it's not the same old Lions. You know, they were 1-6 at one point, and they've come all the way back to 8-8, and there'll be a lot on the line for both teams. It'll be exciting to line up against them.
It's one thing to go over the last few weeks, you know, you're not in control of your own destiny, not as much pressure, but then to come in this game knowing that you do have control of your own destiny and the way you guys went out and played, what does that say about the maturity and growth of this team, that even when the pressure was on, you played your best football probably this season?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of credit goes to the staff on both sides and obviously on the teams for making sure we stayed in the moment and had our guys ready. But it comes down to players. Players win games, and guys went out and played really well. You know, for us to have a block punt, backed up on the 1 yard line and just get 3, that was a huge, huge stop for us. And then what happened? And Key runs it back for a touchdown, 7-3. Then we have pick 6. Next thing you know, it's 14-3. We've done absolutely nothing on offense, and we're up by 2 scores. A little different feeling, for sure. So I haven't really had that over the years. Tom reminded me it's been a long time since that's happened around here. So definitely credit goes to Matt and Joe and Rich for getting those guys ready to play. I'm not sure if everybody knew what the scenario was. I definitely told the offense as we brought it up that, win 2 and we're in. I think we played pretty solid on offense, and obviously the other 2 phases played excellent.
Aaron, what were your thoughts when you saw Vikings take over first and goal, the one after the block punt, and the defense holding to a field goal on that series? What were you thinking?
I felt like we were going to win the game the whole time, so nothing really changed. Even if it was 7-0 there, I felt like, this was our day, and things have been happening for us the last few weeks exactly as we need them to happen, and that's the mindset that I've had the entire time, that there's some destiny involved with this, and it's just on us to go out and fulfill that.
2 more?
I was talking to David at his Bakhtiari at his locker, and he talked about facing adversity, and you've talked a lot about getting one and then having the confidence roll forward. How do those two kind of play together?
Well, I think one of the most important things in this game is dealing with adversity, and it's going to hit at certain times, stretches. We obviously had a really rough stretch. We were 3-1, playing some pretty good football, went to London, lost the game. That turned into a bunch more, and backs were against the wall a few different times, and guys stepped up and played really good football, and that's where the character was formed. A lot of times the character is formed during training camp, and you see kind of how the team's going to be, and we're going to be this on offense and this on defense and this on teams, and took a long, long time. Bill's always asking me about, what the identity of the team is, I feel like, and there were times like, I don't know, it's like we're trying to figure it out as we go, but I feel like a lot of guys that we maybe didn't expect or expected to and didn't in the beginning have stepped up and taken hold of their roles and played some really, really good football. Look at the guys that made plays today. Sav had a pick 6. He was benched for a number of games. Zach Tom played his 4th different position for us. Right tackle. He played left tackle, left guard, right guard. We were joking, in the locker room, the only thing left is to play center for us at some point. Didn't expect him to play a big role for us. Christian Watson, after 9 games, you're thinking, well, maybe next year he'll kind of step into his own, and he's been a big part of what we're doing, even if he only catches a couple passes, just the threat that he puts on the defense. Alan Lazard and his consistency, Aaron Jones and his consistency, A.J. Dillon, his consistency, David Bakhtiari coming back after a myriad of injuries, and being just so consistent at left tackle. This is the identity that we thought we were going to have. It just took a long, long time to get there.
Aaron, how does it just feel for you personally when there were questions about, hey, if this goes the other way, how would you feel about Jordan playing? I mean, just especially considering the uncertainty of what comes next whenever this run ends. How does this just feel for you personally?
Feels really special. It does. It's been an interesting year. Hasn't been my best football at times, but I've been asked to step up my leadership, I think, and be someone that guys can count on to keep it together. Even when it doesn't seem like there's anything to play for, we don't have a chance to make a run. There's been a lot of special moments throughout the year, and it didn't look great for a while, and I was resigned to some of those realities being possible. And when I took my mind there, I had a peace about it. I had a peace about all of it. Whatever was supposed to happen, I was surrendered to that reality, with also the resolute mindset that we could still get back in this thing. And I think that's what I'm most proud of for myself and our team, is that there were a lot of different things that could happen, and we stuck together, and we put ourselves in position to do something special.